Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a really critical topic that completely changes how leadership teams approach transformation. We're demystifying TIO Domain 2, which is all about data. We're going to shift our mindset entirely here. It is absolutely time we stop treating data as this annoying IT problem or some purely technical headache and start treating it as what it truly is, your organization's executive fuel.
Okay, let's dive right into how we're going to break this down. First up, AI runs on data fuel. Then we'll look at the TIO data domain. After that, ownership and quality, access and flow, turning data into insight, and finally, the executive data mandate. So, Section 1, AI runs on data fuel. To really grasp data's role in a modern enterprise, you've got to think about your business like a high-performance engine. And, just like any powerful engine, it absolutely, desperately needs the right fuel to run properly. So I want to pose this question directly to you. What exactly fuels your shiny new AI engine? I mean, everyone right now is incredibly hyped about the AI engine itself, right? The algorithms, the massive computing power, the endless possibilities. But look, if you take unrefined, contaminated crude oil and pour it straight into the tank of a Ferrari, you are on a guaranteed path to engine failure. It's just a fact. And the exact same thing applies to your business. Intelligent automation and AI literally cannot function on dirty, unrefined data. Take a look at the mechanical refinery here. It's a great metaphor because we often just think of data as these abstract numbers floating out in a cloud somewhere. But it's actually much better understood as a physical process. You're extracting raw material, refining it, and pumping that clean fuel to create combustion. The TIO framework defines Domain 2 simply as data, the information. And its entire job, the whole reason it's there, is to provide that refined fuel for insight and intelligent automation. Frankly, if the refinery breaks down, the intelligence stops. Period. All right, moving on to Section 2, the TIO data domain. So let's contextualize exactly where this data refinery lives within your broader organization. What we have here is the complete TIO framework, mapping out the 5 domains of transformation. Just as a quick reminder of the overarching operating logic, leadership directs, data informs, technology enables, factory produces, and people adopt. Now, I really want you to focus heavily on that green domain sitting right there in the middle. Data informs. It is literally the connective tissue between the strategic mandate set by leadership and the technical enablement provided by technology. Without data, leadership is flying blind, and technology, well, it has absolutely nothing to process. So the really crucial point here is captured perfectly in the domain's core purpose. Your goal as a non-technical executive is absolutely not to build technical pipelines. Actually, scratch that. Your goal is simply to ensure the organization can make information reliable, usable, protected, connected, and useful. It is all about generating reliable business value. Because honestly, if you can't trust the data, there is no way you can trust the decisions or the automated actions that follow it. Which brings us to Section 3, ownership and quality. So how do we actually achieve that trust? Well, let's move into the specific capabilities that make up this whole data refinery process. And we're starting with ownership and quality. These two are all about accountability and fitness. The very first capability is ownership. According to the source material, ownership is the organization's ability to assign clear accountability for important data. The operating logic here is super simple. Ownership assigns. That means someone specific, a named individual or a specific role, must have ultimate accountability for every critical patch of fuel in your organization. Because we all know that if everyone owns the data, nobody actually owns it. We need actual names attached to these data domains. Now, once we know exactly who owns it, we move right to the second capability, which is quality. Think of it this way. While ownership assigns the car, quality proves you're putting sugar in the gas tank. Quality is the organization's ability to define, measure, and improve whether that important data is actually accurate, complete, timely, and consistent. Going back to our metaphor, quality proves whether the fuel has actually been properly refined and is fit for your AI engine to safely consume without, causing a total breakdown. Now, as an executive, how on earth do you know if you actually have quality? The good news is you don't need to write a single line of code to figure it out. You just use clear evidence rules, kind of like the ones mapped out right here. For example, can your teams prove an accuracy match, where critical reports perfectly match the source system data? Or can they demonstrate completeness, meaning are the required fields in your absolute priority systems actually filled out and not just left blank? Is there active error tracking going on, where duplicates and missing records are proactively found and fixed? See, this shows exactly how you can measure quality using concrete business artifacts, completely avoiding all that vague technical jargon.
Okay, let's jump to section 4, access and flow.
So now that we have this beautifully refined, high-quality fuel, and we know exactly who owns it, we have to talk about how that fuel actually moves around and who gets to pump it. We need to draw a pretty strict boundary line here to understand these two distinct capabilities. Basically, access enables approved use, while flow moves data safely. Think of access as being fundamentally about giving the right people the keys to the pump, while at the same time making sure bad actors stay completely out. Flow, on the other hand, is the logistics side of things. It's about the fuel actually moving safely, reliably, and efficiently through the pipes between your different systems and teams. Let's just drill down into access for a quick moment here. Again, we are looking for executive evidence. To prove your organization has mature access capabilities, you should be seeing things like role-based access rules for priority systems. You absolutely need an approved, standardized process for requesting access, plus recurring reviews to ensure only the right people still have access to sensitive data. And crucially, this is a big one, a system that removes access the very second a role or business need changes. Protecting sensitive information as your organization transforms is just absolutely vital, and access is basically your primary shield. All right, moving on to section 5, turning data into insight.
Okay, let's recap real quick. We've assigned ownership, we've proved quality, enabled access, and established flow. Now we finally reach that final combustion stage, where this refined fuel actually generates real power for the enterprise. And this final capability is insight. Insight is the organization's ability to turn that trusted data into useful analysis, reporting, and recommendations. The core operating logic here is insight informs. It informs human decisions, and it informs automated actions. Honestly, this is the ultimate payoff, the whole shebang. All that hard work of governing the previous 4 capabilities, ownership, quality, access, and flow, it exists solely to make this one moment of insight possible, accurate, and valuable.
And this laid out right here just brilliantly illustrates the entire anatomy of the data domain. Notice how it compounds so perfectly in a logical operating sequence. It goes like this. Ownership assigns accountability. Quality proves fitness. Access enables safe use. Flow connects the systems. And ultimately, insight informs the business. It's like a giant puzzle. If you skip step 1, you literally cannot guarantee step 2. If you fail at step 3, step 5 becomes either incredibly dangerous or just flat out impossible. It is a true sequential factory line for intelligence. Finally, we arrive at section 6, the executive data mandate. So, we've covered the mechanics. Let's tie everything back directly to your leadership responsibilities. This final summary is a great reminder that the core mandate for the data domain is simply to provide the fuel for insight. Listen, as a leader, you do not need to be a data scientist. You do not need to know SQL or how to build a data lake or any of that. But you absolutely must demand that these 5 capabilities are actively managed and matured. Because if your organization is treating data like an IT exhaust fume rather than your most valuable executive fuel, your AI transformation is going to stall before it even leaves the garage. I want to wrap up this explainer with a really powerful, direct question drawn straight from the TIO framework. And I want you to use this as a mental audit of your own organization's readiness right now, today. Ask yourself, can you trust, use, protect, move, and learn from your important data? Think about it. If the answer is no, will you now know exactly which of the 5 capabilities you need to start fixing tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into refining your data fuel. Keep learning, keep transforming, and I will see you in the next explainer.